as we talk about semantic kernel in particular, from the Python side, and it's actually just a core semantic kernel concept, right? We have this notion of planner, right? Planner, some people will describe it as agents. Some people will describe it as just like pure like semantic AI, where you're having AI do more of the orchestration, do more of the actual work for you, right? You could use semantic kernel as like manually, where you predefine the skills that you want to run, the order that you want them to operate in, and to invoke or chain those results together. Or right, you could have AI do this for you, and yeah, be able to have a notion of what skills are available, what plugins are available, and then have the planner be able to determine what is the best combination of those things to ultimately achieve the user goal, right, or the user ask. So we first started off with just a very basic planner that I implemented a while back, but it's very much like it's more sequential in nature, right? It was JSON based. It was just saying like, okay, these are the skills that you have. Can you create a JSON based plan that can execute it? And it works, I think decently well sometimes. But one of the things that we as the team, right, built was this notion of a plan object model, right? And this was more from the C# side of the house initially, and then we brought it over to Python. But now with this plan object model, we allow people like yourself to build any sort of plan that they want, right? And a couple of them that have come in recently are Sequential Planner and Action Planner. So I know you, Joowon, you worked particularly on Sequential Planner. So do you want to talk high level of what this one is?
For the sequential planner, it operates like creating a to-do list. When given a user's query, it outlines a comprehensive series of tasks that needed to be executed as a sequence. And for user's query, sequential planner parse its goal and its usable functions or plugins, functions or something like functions automatically and make context of it and execute it in a sequence. Yeah.
One of the key things that I see here in the actual prompt of the sequential planner is this notion of using a XML based plan. And at least I can at least speak to the team's motivation, like why XML, right? Why not JSON? I would say that the team has, like early on when we were investigating GPT-4 and these type of models, we found that the model was actually quite capable of producing and reading XML style, XML type formats. So the actual like original planner for this was an XML based one that, as you can see, it you specify the functions, and it shows you what the inputs are for each functions. It tells you the parameter names for it as well. As you execute the plan, you execute the steps one at a time, right? And if there are still more steps to take, right, you just keep going until there's no more. Yeah, this is the sequential planner. Do you want to maybe share, Joowon, of like what are the use cases for this? Like why would you, or when would you use this type of planner, at least in your situations?
Fetching the data when I need to treat users query, then I actually doesn't need more complicated models because I just want to it's enough to use sequential planner to fetch users data, and from the users data I can parse like a user ID and get other blog posts or get comments or everything can be done with sequential planner because the sequential planner is more simplified than other planners.
So transitioning then, one of the other planners that you worked on or that you're currently working on is called Stepwise Planner. So Joowon, do you want to describe what is Stepwise Planner?
Yeah.
What is it used for?
Here's a simple description for Stepwise Planner that Stepwise planner is a little bit different from sequential planner. It's very much like a playing. Think about strategy game. For each user's query, it recommends a single move, and then think about that and access the outcome. Think about it recommends a single action, and access the action's outcome, and then determines the next subsequent steps. This iteration continues until the planner think it's getting a desired outcome. So planner, the difference between sequential and stepwise planner is that sequential planner plans everything at once, but stepwise planner is do thought and action and access it and create next action. I think it's the big difference from for both planners. Yeah, I think this prompt is pretty well describing the device planner. So if you are seeing usage instructions, if you define the stepwise planners from kernel, the stepwise planner get functions that can use to make a plan. So function descriptions are injected from the kernel plugins. So there will be many functions, and then stepwise planner will make a plan for each steps. Main thing is the thought process. I think the thought process is the core components in here. So uh, let's see the examples. So there's a question, thought, and actions, and observations, and final answers. So the question is the inputs that user wants to find out, or just a goal. So the question will be the answers query, user's query, and then from the user's query, stepwise planner will thought to solve this problem. Stepwise planner carefully analyze the given questions and identify the necessary steps. So in the thought process, GPT model will think about what should be done for the questions with their function descriptions mentioned in the upper side. So uh, and then stepwise planner think about the next action based on its thought. So action is like a JSON blob. There are two keys, action and action variables. Action is the function name that we already discussed in the function descriptions, and you already write some parameter descriptions for semantic functions or native functions. So for each parameters, GPT or some like large language models fill out its parameter names and other values. So after action is defined, stepwise planner executed it and fill the observations, and it iterates its process: thought, action, observation, thought, action, observation, so that finally, when the observation is fulfilled to answer user's question, and then final answer is generated.
Got it. Very cool. Well, yeah, I mean, I personally think that this, I mean, Lee created the original stepwise planner in C#, and after that landed, right, a lot of people have started to play around with it and see it as very powerful, but also very, instead of it being like, okay, this is the plan, right? These are the exact steps I will take. It kind of discovers this as it goes along, right? It forms these thoughts, it takes these action or makes some observations, makes thoughts, takes some actions, and then repeats that until it thinks, right, that it has solved the problem or is getting closer to solving the problem. So
Yeah.
I think that's very interesting, and also very, you have to be careful with it because it means you have less and less control over exactly what's going on throughout the process.
That's right.
But as you think back or think beyond what is currently there, And as you are also building things for your own startup, for your own projects and all that, what are some of the other things that you would like to see reflected in the semantic kernel, or even just these frameworks overall?
First thing is that chat memory. I have to write the codes to manage sessions for chat history. But this is pretty tedious because I have to manage all the memory things and user and chatbot sentences. But and if I want to change the database and I'm currently using, and I need to read the database documents and rewrite the codes. But if semantic kernel implement the 10 memory and make some ecosystems for that, yeah, I think it will be a very cool features. And yeah, so it would be great if semantic kernel implemented as a next feature. And one more thing is that callbacks. I know it's
Mhm.
already implemented in the as a kind of telemetry in C Sharp, but I want this feature implemented in Python too. For using planners in your services, as you mentioned, it's essential that we monitor the actions chosen by the planner because we can't predict what large language models will generate as an answer. So if we find out some undesirable outcome, we need to review and understand how that was produced and debug it with some kind of prompt engineering or changing codes. We need to know what makes that undesirable outcome. So uh, and plus additionally, instead of leaving the user starting at a blank screen while the planner is operating and doing something else, I think it would be much better to display some kinds of planner's internal processes to users. Like I'm thought I thought this is the next action and action is executed, and uh, so that users feel more comfortable with not just loading the page. So that callback features or logging feature is highly desirable, I think. Yeah, that's these are two things that I want to see as the next features. And I think we have the other agent planner concept that there's a multiple agent in at the other side. So it will be interesting for if Semantic kernel also implements the multiple agent concept and multiple planner concept that each planner cooperates like I will do something and the other planner is doing something and mix it together. Or yeah, I think these three things can be the next
No, these are
features.
all
Yeah.
these are all very good, and there are a lot of the ones that you mentioned are things that I would love to see as well.
Mhm.
And we our team is very small for Python, right? But we are very appreciative and welcome contributions from people like yourself to make the SDK better. So,
Mhm.
but yes, I am in full agreement that the things that you mentioned are things that we should prioritize and go and expand.